Welcome to Goods and Services Tax class. In this class, we are going to learn GST annual returns preparation. Let us understand what is a GST annual return. Then we can go for how to prepare annual return and what are the components in that annual return. The session objectives are, first of all, understanding the different types of GST returns, understand the need of return filing, understand the benefits of filing returns, and finally, understand the consequences for not filing the GST return. With these objectives, we are learning the concept of GST annual returns filing. Before going to the process of GST return filing, let us have an idea about what is GST return. What is GST return? The GST return is simply, it is a document that includes all of the sales, purchases, tax paid on purchase, simply we can say input tax, and tax collected on sales, we can say output tax. Normally, this kind of information we require to present in this document. You will be required to pay the resulting tax liability once you file GST returns. Here, GST return, simply we can say it is a document which contains the details of sales, purchases, tax paid on purchases, tax collected on sales, finally, how much we need to pay tax to the government. These particulars are maintained in a systematical way. That is called simply a GST return. A GST return is that a GST registered taxpayer, each GST IN means GST means Goods and Services Tax Information Network, is required to document with the tax administrative government. This is used by tax authorities to calculate net tax liability. Simply we can understand a business person, one who registered under GST, has to file a return by using the registered number through the platform GSTIN, so that administrative authorities can able to calculate a net tax liability. See, that is the main aspect of filing the return. I hope you understood the concept of GST return, right? Once again, I repeat, GST return is a document which contains information relating to the sales, purchases, tax paid on purchase, and tax collected on sales. And finally, how much we need to pay the net tax to the government. Such kind of information is maintained in a systematical way. That is called a GST return. Now, let us understand what are the things specifically included in GST returns. Section 2, subsection 97 of the CGST Act 2017 defines a return. So, according to CGST Act 2017, the definition of the return as follows. Return means any return prescribed or otherwise required to be furnished by or under this Act or rules made thereunder. It means as per the GST Act, whatever the document we require to submit on a prescribed timeline, the document we can say simply a return. Under GST, a registered dealer has to file GST returns that broadly includes. So we have already seen what are the components should be included. Let us have a glance once again. Purchases information, sales information, output GST. Output GST means on sales. Input tax credit, GST paid on purchases. How much we have collected on sales GST, it is called output GST. How much we have paid GST on purchases, we can say that is input tax credit. See, these four things must be mentioned in the document in a proper manner. Now let us try to understand what is GST annual return. So when we need to file, okay, GSTR 9, this is annual return. GSTR 9, there are different types of returns, but here our discussion is limited to annual return. In annual return, GSTR 9, it is filed once in a year by the registered taxpayer under GST, including those registered under composition leeway scheme GSTR 9A and those engaged in supply of goods and suppliers on electronic commerce platform. They are required to file GSTR 9B. So just try to understand quickly. GSTR 9 is a normal or general annual return. We require to file every year. GSTR 9A return, those who are registered for electronic commerce platform for GSTR 9B. Here simply we can say GSTR 9, GSTR 9A, GSTR 9B, there are three returns required. GSTR 9 is a normal return. Okay. Coming to the next one, GSTR 9A and those engaged in the supply of goods of suppliers on electronic commerce platform GSTR 9B. So we will go through it later quickly, remaining these things. GSTR 9 consists of details regarding the supplies made and received during the year under different tax rates. CGST, central government CGST, SGST and IGST. It consolidates the information furnished in the monthly or quarterly return during the year. GSTR 9 consolidates the information furnished in the monthly or quarterly return during the year. Currently, it is optional for the taxpayers having a turnover up to 2 crores. See, this is the basic information which is relating to the annual return. Once again, I would like to repeat, GSTR 9, GSTR 9, GSTR 9 annual return. GSTR 9 is an annual return. It is to be filed once in a year by a registered taxpayer under GST, including those registered under composition levy scheme. They are required to furnish GSTR 9A, and those engaged in the supply of goods or supply on electronic commerce platform, we can say Amazon and all like that, such kind of businesses should require to submit GSTR 9B. Annual return consists of details regarding the supplies made and received during the year under different tax rates. These are CGST, SGST and IGST. Annual return consolidates the information furnished in the monthly or quarterly returns during the year. Currently, annual return filing is an optional for taxpayers having turnover up to 2 crores. So this is the basic information relating to GSTR 9. Apart from GSTR 9 forms, there are also other forms available which has different eligibility criteria. What are those forms? Why they have to file separately? Let us have a look. GSTR 9A. This form has to be filled by the taxpayers who come under the composition scheme. Just now we have discussed. Composition scheme means a particular business organization having different types of products. They are dealing with different types of products. They are not confined to one product. So instead of paying each and every product separate GST rates, they can go and apply for composition scheme. The total sales they are taking into consideration for tax purpose. That is composition scheme. GSTR 9B. Any e-commerce company, we can say Amazon, Flipkart like that, who has filed GSTR 8 in the financial year needs to be filed GSTR 9B as their annual return under GSTR 9. The one more category is also there, GSTR 9C. Any taxpayer whose turnover exceeds the threshold limit of 2 crores. If their turnover is exceeded the 2 crores limit, they need to file GSTR 9C along with their annual return of GST. These companies' accounts shall also be audited by the authorized persons like chartered accountants. So these are the different returns. Just go back once again. GSTR 9, it's an annual return. Under GSTR 9, we have GSTR 9A, GSTR 9B, GSTR 9C. In GSTR 9 forms, it's a regular form we can say. Under GSTR 9 annual return, there are 3 categories: GSTR 9A, GSTR 9B, GSTR 9C. GSTR 9A, those who are applied for composition scheme, they have to submit. GSTR 9B, e-commerce organizations, they have to submit. GSTR 9C, business organization, those who are crossed the threshold limit of 2 crores. Simply, they need to submit. Coming to the next. Benefits of filing GST returns on time. See, there are so many benefits. We can claim our input tax credit immediately. This is one of the biggest advantage. Otherwise, input tax credit may be locked. And another advantage, avoiding leeway of interest. To avoid the interest payments for late submission of returns, better we can submit the return on time. We can avoid the interest late payments. Avoid late fees also. And avoid GST cancellation. This is the biggest issue. To avoid GST cancellation, we need to submit our GST return on prescribed timelines. Avoid notices for defaults. So that to avoid notices from the GST authorities, better we need to submit GST returns on time. And finally, accountability. As a responsible citizen, as a responsible organization, we require to have an accountability so that we need to pay tax on time. See, these are the important aspects or important benefits of filing GST returns on time. Now, filing process. How to file a GST or return? First, they should register in GST portal. Once the registration is completed, then log in and navigate the GSTR 1 page. Once GSTR 1 page is navigated and fill the data required, and they need to go for option. Option for quarterly filing or monthly filing returns. So once option is also given, then generating the GSTR1 summary. After that, enter the details relating to the current tax period information. And after entering the required data, then go to preview of GSTR1. Then acknowledge and submit GSTR1 to freeze data. It means without any changes, we need to freeze the data. And finally, file GSTR with the DSC or EBC, electronic field. See, this is the complete process for filing the GSTR return. Then, GST Act prescribed certain records for filing the GSTR returns. According to Section 35 of the Central Goods and Services Tax 2017 CGST, read with Rule 56 of the Central Goods and Services Tax 2017, every registered person for GST shall keep all records in his primary place of business. See, the record should maintain in the primary place of their own businesses. We can say head office or prescribed office. As per the provision to Section 35 subsection 1 of the CGST Act, the registered person may keep and maintain such accounts and other particulars in electronic form in such a manner as may be prescribed. They need to maintain in electronic form also. Each registered person must have their accounts audited by cost accountant or chartered accountant if their annual revenue exceeds 2 crores. See, now let us understand what are the records required. Every registered individual should maintain the following records. The first thing, stock of products. Stock of products means what are the products they are dealing with in business process. They need to give the complete details regarding the products. Production or manufacturing of goods. If a business concern is producing or manufacturing goods, we require to submit the complete data regarding their production also. We need to maintain a separate set of book for that production or manufacturing goods. Inward and outward supply of goods or services. We need to maintain a record of inward supply and outward supply of goods or services required. Next, most important aspect is input tax credit. How much we have claimed input tax, we need to maintain that record, and output tax owed and paid. How much we need to pay to the government as an output tax, we need to maintain that record also. See, these are the records we require to maintain. Once again, recap what we have learned so far. First, we have discussed what is GST return. So, before going to understand the GST return, why GST return is required. So, if GST return is filed, what are the advantages? And all those things we have learned. Once again, I repeat, what is GST return? The GST return is a document. Simply, GST return is a document that will include all sales, purchases, tax paid on purchases, tax collected on sales, and finally how much amount payable to government. Such kind of details are maintained in a particular document in a systematical way. That is called GST return. In that GST return, as per the section 2 subsection 97 of the CGST Act 2017, a return must have the details regarding purchases, sales, output GST on sales, input tax credit on purchases. Annual returns, GSTR 9 and GSTR 9A, GSTR 9B and GSTR 9C. GSTR 9A should file those who are applied for composition scheme. GSTR 9B required to file those who are doing e-commerce business. GSTR 9C should apply those who are having the business threshold more than 2 crores limit. So these are the annual returns we require to file. After that, we have seen the benefits of GSTR filing. Then we have seen the filing process. Then we understood different records which are required as per the GST. Stock of products, production or manufacturing of goods, inward, outward supply of goods, input tax credit, finally output tax credit. Just to go through the format. So this is the format actually we required to submit to the GST authorities. For your better understanding, I am here presenting the format GSTR9. Have a glance. You can download it through website, GST website. Just for a basic idea point of view, I am here presenting the original format of GSTR9. The lot of details we require to submit in GSTR filing. See how many columns, how much data we require to insert. See, still the count is going on and on and on. This is finally comes to an end. This is the format. Just download it and verify each and every aspect. What are the requirements? What type of data we require to the present. I hope you are getting a basic idea of what is GST return and what is annual return, GSTR 9 and GSTR 9A and GSTR 9B, and finally GSTR 9C.